What's going on, guys, and a big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and we are back with more videos for Spike Brothers. So we have done a challenge or a marathon on our channel, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to post you guys 3 videos each week and doing a deck profile on a Spike Brother deck, let's say, from different era and time. So first we have done the deck that was before the Legion era, before the Limit Break era even, and that was the deck that played the General Siegfried with, let's say, a Skydiver and a Juggernaut Maximum. So it was like an old school deck, really way before the Limit Break era and everything. And then we did the deck profile for the Deadly Emperor deck with the Bad and Dragger, and now we are doing a deck from the Legion era. So the rules are simple. For this deck, the rules were that you cannot play cards from the V era series, you cannot play cards from the G era, you cannot play cards from the Legion, and no Limit Break cards. But if you have a card that was released way later in, let's say, G, but it did not require you to have Legion, Limit Break, or even the GB, let's say, you can't play it in this deck. And then we had the Limit Break deck, and almost the same rules, but now you could play cards that have Limit Break in them. And now we have done that already, so now we are doing the deck that plays the Legion. We are actually focusing on the Ogel Legion, because the Ogel Legion is just way better than the other Legion from the playmat. So the Blaze, the Emerald Blaze and the Silver Blaze, the Ogles are just way better, and I will explain both skills. I could also explain this one if you want to, which we'll go into later. But this is an amazing deck, and like in the Limit Break deck, which we will put the link in the description section below for you guys, so you could check that out if you want to. We rely on the combination of Deadly Emperor with the Bad and Dragger, and in this deck you kind of do the same, but now you don't really need Deadly Emperor. You have the Ogles, and the Ogles does it's better because with the Deadly Emperor you kind of have a 5 attack 6 attack combo, and with this deck you could do more, and depending on the counterclasses that you have and on the cards that you have left in your deck, but you could really do a lot of crazy attacks and high numbered attack with this deck. So let's first go through the deck, and after that come back and explain the cards and then also the combos that you do with this deck. So first of all, for the grade 3 lineup, we have the 4 copies of Bloody Ogel, and then we add in 4 copies of Bad and Dragger. I don't play any other grade 3. There is also no reason to play other grade 3 in my opinion. So 4 on 4 is perfect. I'll also show you what you could do with this card even if you don't have him. Alright, and then we have the grade 2s. We have the Legion Mate, which is the Frozen Ogel. Then we add in the 4 copies of Deadly Mason, 3 copies of Devil Dome. Of course, back in the days, this looked different. You have like Braki or the Silver Blaze, which you played to replace him, but now he gets even more power, so that's why you play him. And then we add in some one-offs. We have the Devil Summoner, and we have the Jumbo the Stun Gun. I'll show you also what this card could do. It's just pretty nice that you could sometimes get its skill off even multiple times a turn. Alright, now we go into the great ones. So for the perfect guards, we still play 4. I like playing 4 in this deck, especially because we don't have our Mega Train as starter. We have Darkbringer, as I told you in the deck profile before this one. So the one from the Limit Break is you have the 2 good options, and in this deck I actually do like the Darkbringer more than the Mega Trainer. Then we have 3 copies of Wonder Boy, and we add in the 3 copies of Eliza or Elsa, and then the 2 copies of Death Flag. So different lineup than the one from the Legion era, of course. Then for the Grade 0 lineup, we start with 4 ugly heals. The reason why I play this heal in this deck is actually, normally I didn't play heals in this deck before, Because the thing is, you really don't want to heal. Sometimes you want to be at 5 damage, you want to be at 4 damage. And sometimes this heal, like when you take that last damage, this heal comes and that will change your plans. So I actually took it out. I played only 1 or 2 as I remember. I didn't want to play 4 because, as I said, you don't want to heal. So what other choices could you do? Well, play more crits, more draws. So you could actually take the heal out to play even more crits and more draws if you want to. But for now, I wanted to keep the heal in here because it's so ugly and it fits perfect with the Ogles. So you could play 4 heals. And then the lineup would look a little bit like this. So 4 heals, 6 draws, no deadly draw, there's no reason. And then of course the 6 crits. So you could play it like this, but you could also change it a little bit. You could take out the heals, at least 2. There is really no reason to play 4. 2 is kind of funny because when you see her, sometimes you're very happy and sometimes you're very sad. And what I did before, I played 1 of her and 1 tiara, so 1 on 1. The tiara like came in handy when you need her, and this one is just too ugly. And then you could add in 2 extra draws or 2 extra crits depending on whatever you like. Or leave the 4 heals. It's really optional, also depending on the format, but most of the time you don't want to heal whenever you want to go into that final turn. Okay, you guys are getting more and more experience with Spike Brothers right now because we have done these deck profiles multiple times, so you know what most cards does. So let's start first with a break ride. What the break ride does is if you have limit break. Limit break means that you need to have 4 damage to get the skill off of him. So that's limit break. Then you have break ride. Break ride means whenever you ride on the top of him, he gives the skill to this Vanguard. So you break the ride. So he gives the skill to him. And what this break ride does is whenever you ride on the top of him, if you have 4 damage, then he pretty much gives the card that rides on the top of him plus 10k and a new skill. That new skill is, of course, that stays only one turn, only that turn. And that skill is whenever something attacks, like one of your Vanguards, it gets an extra 10k, and at the end of the battle, it goes back to the bottom of the deck. And he also gives the Vanguard that rides on the top of him also extra 10k. He also has the ability, of course, that whenever he's boosted by a Spike for the unit, he gets 2k. So boosted by an 8k, this could make a 21 column. And now, of course, you play 4 copies of him because you want to ride into him first. The second grade 3 that we run in this deck is your main grade 3, which is the Bloody Ogel. The Bloody Ogel has the ability which said whenever you Legion, so the turn that you Legion, he gives every Rega that attacks an extra 5k. So combining these two, in that turn, you will get extra 15k. So that's really a lot of power to give your Vanguard. So like, let's say a draw trigger could attack for a 20k, which is a lot in that time. And that's why this deck is so good. And it was actually the first deck that I was really destroying people with. Even before, when we get like the Deadly Emperor, yes, of course, with the break ride, he was also amazing. But that deck lost a lot of hand, and this deck didn't really have to lose a lot of hand to gain the advantage and to finish the up on the top. Alright, so his second ability is whenever he attacks, you counterblast 2, you choose a card from your hand and put it into the soul, and then you call something from your deck to an open regular circle. So what's the difference between him and the Deadly Emperor? Well, the Deadly Emperor counterblast 2 and you lose 2 cards from hand and you call only you call 2. So 2 cards, counterblast 2, call 2. He's counterblast 2, 1 card from hand, but call only 1. But that's okay because your Frozen Ogles also do a lot of work. So we will come back to the combo later on, but that's pretty much what you want to do, is you want to combine the 2 to give everything that attacks plus 15k. Now we get into the grade 2s, and now we have the Frozen Ogel. So of course you play this card at 4 because it's the Legion mate, and also because it's an amazing card. What he does is pretty much at the end of the battle that he attacks, if your Vanguard Legions this turn, you counterblast 1, you put this card into your soul, and you call something from your deck. And he could call himself, and that's why this card is crazy strong is because he could keep calling himself up, and that's just amazing. Okay, so when we got into the G era, of course you updated this deck with even more attackers, but for now you had him with the Frozen Ogel, which was the card that made the huge difference in Spike Brothers, especially in this deck, of course. Then we have the Dudley Mason, also playing him at 4. Dudley Mason gives you a very good early game. Also sometimes help you to get the right cards to the field, to your soul if needed, and sometimes even to get like the counter charge but keep the pressure high. So I like this card a lot, always liked him, and he gave us the opportunity to search your Bad and Dragger, and that's the card that you want to write into. So that's why you play Mason. Also Mason could be an attack extender, so combo extender if needed, and that's why you also have him in this deck. Now we have your main attacker, which we play at 4. As I said before, this card looked different. It could have been a Bracky, but most of the time in the Legion era, it was the Silver Blaze. Silver Blaze, whenever he attacks or she attacks, you Soul Blast 1, and then you may give this card plus 10k if you're a Legion. So that's an amazing skill. It's better than Bracky, because Bracky attack for 14, this attacks for 19. With the Break Ride, this attack for 29. With the Legion, this of course attack for even higher number, it's just a 34. So it's an amazing number, but this card could do it even better because he's a 6k. You give him the extra 15k, but he doubles his power. So that's a 21 and that's a 42 attack, just like that, just 42. So that's a lot of high power, and that's why you play 3 copies of him, because he's your main powerhouse in this deck when you really need to finish your opponent off. Then we have 2 other cards that we add in this deck. First is Jumbo the Stun Gun. I was so happy when this card came out, because what he does is whenever this card is placed, that during the battle phase you soul charge 1 and you counter charge 1, and pretty much you could combine these 2 to put the pressure high, but call this and get the counter charge already back. But sometimes you want to use him in your Legion turn, like whenever you use a lot of counter passes, you call him, and that's when these 2 are very nice, because if you get him out with the Dudley Mason, then he's on the field, you could intercept with him and he's safe in the drop zone, depending again which deck you are playing. But you don't want to lose him in the damage zone, definitely do not want to lose him in the damage zone. And the reason also why we do still play the heals, at least at 2, is because when they end up in the damage zone, cards like this, cards like that, when they end up in the damage zone, you really want to heal them. And that's why the heals are also nice in a way of counter-charging sometimes. Alright, so last but not least, we play the 1 copy of Devil Summoner, another combo extender. It doesn't matter that he's weak. He hits for high numbers with the Legion Break Right turn, so it didn't really make a big difference. And because now we only play 8 grade 3s and we play no extra grade 0s, there is a big chance for Devil Summoner to hit the right cards. Alright, so let's go into the grade 1s and then we could jump into the big combo turn. So 2 copies of Death Flag as always to search your Bad and Dragger. Then we have the Wonder Boy because we don't play Mega Trainer, we play Dark Bringer. So that's why Wonder Boy is nice to have at 3, and he's very important in the turn that you keep staying at your Bad and Dragger, which I could explain. Now we have the Elsa. Elsa is also important. She's more like a bait in Spike Brothers. You want to have her on the field, but you still need the damage. You still need to have like 4 face-up damage for your big combo, or 5, that's even better. So having Elsa on the field, when your opponent sees her, she enables your limit break, they will just give you the damage because they think you have the limit break anyway. But what you want is actually damage and not limit break. Limit break is good, but you really need the face-up damage to go to your combos. So that's why she's very nice to have in this deck. Having her on the regular circle, meaning your opponent would not hold back of giving you damage. And then we have the former Len, of course, because again we don't play Mega Trainer in here. We don't want to waste the Counter Blast too early. So which starter do we play? We play the Dark Bringer. Dark Bringer is an amazing starter. What he does is, of course, if his attack hits, you put him into the soul and he calls something from your hand. That is amazing because sometimes you have units in your hand that you really want to call on the field during the battle phase, and they could be very handy. But also everything that you call from hand or deck pool gets the extra 15k. So this is an amazing combo extender which does not cost you counterblast, and that's why you play him. Okay, now we could talk about cards that we don't have in the deck, like your other Legion grade 3. This card is also nice. What it does is a counterblast of 3, and then you choose a card from your hands and put it into your soul, and that card that you put needs to be him or her, because that's a card that needs to be on the Vanguard circle. So then of course when he attacks you do that, and you may pay the cost, which is putting that card into your soul. And then you search your deck for up to 2 cards and you call them 2 separate regular circles, and they have to be open regular circles. So it kind of is the same as him, but he costs a counterblast of 3, which is, you really can't afford to do that, and he doesn't give power to the units that gets to the field. And then Silver Blaze, as I explained, get an extra +10, and she whenever she attacks. The funny thing is that this card came out in SP and a triple rare. He was SP and a triple rare, she's in SP and a rare, and this guy was only a double rare, and our Break Ride is also only a double rare. Well, the Ogels are way better than this. Also, this came, we saw this in the anime, I think even in G way later, but we did see it. Other cards we don't play are Parkour. Parkour is also an important card. When Link Joker became the meta, I played him in the deck and I took out the Devil Summoner. So that's also very nice and very important to remember that we still have Parkour, because you could get him out of your deck and he could unlock that Rhaegar that you have in the other column. Now you could attack with that Rhaegar, so you don't really need minus or something. So that's why Parkour was good in this deck, and the Soul Blast one, yeah, you could afford that. And Commander Gary Cannon, we played him, especially in this deck, because you could put this behind your Legion. And because your Legion already attacked for 20, it doesn't really matter, like having this is 26, or having a Wonder Boy or 7k behind him is the same number, only against MLB that was different. So that's why a lot of people play Commander Gary Cannon. I didn't really like him, and the reason is that you want Wonder Boy behind your Vanguard, because you will sometimes be sitting a long time on your Bad End Dragger until you get to your final turn. Okay, so let's see how the combo works. So let's say you have, of course, your starting Vanguard, which is the Darkbringer. You ride on the top of him. Let's say you go first. You ride on the top of him, he comes out of the soul, and he comes right there, chilling on the Rhaegar circle. Alright, so you ride into Tiara over Merlin for some reason, because you didn't have anything else to ride in your hand. Okay, they attack into you, you get 1 damage, and that's when it's your turn again. So you ride into the Deadly Mason, and you would have a Wonder Boy in your hand. That's perfect. If you don't, then it's okay. And now there are other grade 2s that you could have in your hands. First one is the Frozen Ogel. Second one is the Devil Dome. Third one is, of course, the Jumbo the Stun Gun. And last but not least, you also have your Devil Summoner. Devil Summoner and Jumbo the Stun Gun you could just put on the field, because you want this guy in your drop zone. You could Legion him back, and you want to activate his skill as much as you can to get more cards to the field. If you have multiple Ogles in your hand, you could call them. Call 1 at least, because you only need 1 in your hand for the big combo. But it really depends on what are you playing against. If you're playing against like plans like Narukami who could bind from the field, then do not do that. If you're playing something that could lock the field, then don't do that. So it depends on what you're playing against. But let's say we got the Devil Summoner, and the Devil Summoner got us nothing, because sometimes you are unlucky. Okay, and then let's say you didn't have Jumbo the Stun Gun in your hand. You attack first with this column, which is a perfect 17k column. When this attack hits, you put a card from your hand to the soul, you counterblast, and now you want to get Jumbo the Stun Gun. Why do you want to get Jumbo? It's because you really want to have him in the drop zone so he does not end up in your damage zone. Sometimes I even get out my Ogles because I really want my Ogles on the field and in the drop zone, but not in the damage zone. But if you get the Jumbo could give you the opportunity to countercharge that one counterblast that you already have paid. So that's a good thing. Sometimes you also get Death Flag if you don't have a Bad Dragger in your hand, and Death Flag is always a +1. So really depend on the situation. But let's say you countercharge. You went for the countercharge for Jumbo and you soul charge one. Attack, attack, attack. Their turn again, you intercept all of these because you don't need them, and you stand and you draw. Let's say they gave you only 1 damage. It's a draw trigger, so that's good. Now you write into your Bad Dragger. And Bad Dragger right here becomes your main attacker because you could still make that 21k column. That's the good thing about this. And then of course you want to put even more pressure on your opponent, so you get something to the field like a Deadly Mason or something else. And the most important card that you want to have right here is Eliza. So you could also do it like this. Eliza is important to have right now because she is your limit break enabler, and she is the one that your opponent would say, hey, they already have her on the field, so I could just give him the 4 damage. Why not? Because he is always getting his limit break off. But some others would say, hey, they also need counterblast for that deck, so maybe I don't give him 4 damage and he can't do much. Okay, so you attack with this. If you get his skill off, you could call something right here, but sometimes you don't really want to. But putting the pressure high on your opponent is sometimes also good. But in the most situations, you won't do that. You would just leave it right there. Then you attack, they read his skill. Oh shit, on hit could come there, you could still boost, so they guard this. Okay, then it's your turn again, and they attack into you once, and then they attack into your Vanguard, and they don't want to give you that 4 damage because they know that you need counterblast. Now you stand everything up and you ride. And now you want to ride into the Bad Dragger again. Because you have Elsa on the field, you already have your limit break, even with 3 damage. So that's the good thing, because now everything that attacks does get the extra 10k from his ability. So this could move up. You don't need her anymore because you're only on 3 damage, and you know your opponent will give you at least 1 damage next turn, depending on their deck. And then you have one more attacker that you want to put right here. Could also be a draw trigger, but in the most situations, let's say you have 2 copies of him in your hand, you put a grade 3 right here, or another Bad Dragger. That's also good. Okay, you attack with this first. This is 31 because he gained an extra 2k because of his own ability, and this attacks for 17 and this attacks for 26. They go to the bottom of the deck. Sometimes I also put cards right here that I want to have back in my deck, like Ogles. If you have multiple ones in hand, you could just put them back. And then it's their turn again. You have nothing for them to attack into, so they attack into your Vanguard. Most of the time they just attack you twice, and at least, and that's when you end up with 5 face-up damage, and that's the perfect situation. You stand everything up and you finally ride into your Ogel. Now what you want to do is, what I normally do is I keep the Bad Dragger right there for your opponent to know that you have break right. Now you Legion. You remember that we had Jumbo the Stun Gun in our drop zone? This is a card that we want to put back. You remember that we had Devil Summoner? This is a card that you want to put back. And all the frozen Ogles you have, you want them back as well. So you put all of those cards back, you put 4 cards back with Legioning, and then you get this frozen Ogel from your deck and you Legion. And remember that we also had a frozen Ogel in hands. That's the card that you want to call. And you just want to fill your field, so it doesn't really matter what you call right there. Let's say it's a Death Flag. And now you need to check your damage, check your soul, check your hand, and see how many Ogles you have left in your deck. And you should have 3, right? Because as we said before, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there should be, at least 2 in your deck. Okay, those 2. Then you call this, of course, right here from your hand. You move this up and you call another booster behind him. This could be anything. Again, it could be just a 5k, it could be a 10k, it could be anything you want. It doesn't really matter. If you don't have, let's say your field look like this, right? If you only have one booster, then you move this up and you call the strongest booster behind him to make a better column, and you call the other booster right there. It's also not necessary to have a booster. It's good, but it only up your attack by 5k, so sometimes it's good to have him in your hands if you really want to, but most of the time you have something like a draw trigger or something that you could just put on the field, just like that. Okay, 5 damage is the reason we want to focus less on heals, and sometimes we don't want to heal, so that's perfect. You have this field, now you're ready to attack. All right, so if you have another grade 2 or grade 3 in your hand, you could attack with this first, because you just get him out of the way. You don't want to have him too long there. So this is E5. He gives a 5k when he legions, so that's 10. And he gives a 10k when you break rise, so that's 20. This is 27. And because it's the first attack, most of the time your opponent would let this through because they want to get a trigger or something. And that's when he becomes in handy. He goes to the soul after he hits, and you may call something from your hand. Okay, it could be a Devil Dome, it could be something else. If it's Devil Dome, that's perfect. You call the Devil Dome right here. You attack with the Devil Dome, that's the second attack. Let's put it to you right there. And now you activate the skill of the Devil Dome. First, he gets a 5k from him. So this is 6, that's 11. And his skill will give him a 10k, so that's 21. And then you soul blast 1. And he becomes a 42 attacker. A 42 attack. Goes back to the bottom of the deck. And now you have a free open Rhaegar circle right here to use for your advantage. You attack with your Ogel. You activate his skill by counterblasting 1. He goes to the soul. Right? Now you could get a second Ogel, because you have 2 left in your deck, right? So this is your second Ogel. You attack with this again, another 24. This is the 4th attack, and you counterblast 1 at the end of the battle. You put the Ogel into your soul, and you call the last Ogel, or now you get into your Devil Summoner. You remember that you put Devil Summoner back to the deck? This is when Devil Summoner becomes in handy. Devil Summoner comes right here because he does not really benefit from the 5k boost, so he comes right here. And if he hits something with the Devil Summoner, that's perfect. If you don't hit something with the Devil Summoner, that's alright. So let's say that you hit this attack with the Devil Summoner. That's the 5th attack, and this is again a 22 attack, so that's perfect. He goes to the bottom of the deck. Another 22 attack. This is the 6th attack. It goes to the bottom of the deck, and now you attack with the Ogel. You activate his skill, counterblast 2, put 1 card from your hand into the soul, and now you finally get the opportunity to call your last Ogel to the field, and this is the 7th attack. Alright, attack with the Ogel, 8th attack, activate the Ogel skill, counterblast, and you call something from your deck, and most of the time that would be another Devil Dome to attack for a very high number right there. This could be a strategy. This is the strategy that works with Darkbringer the best, but you could also do it in a different way. Sometimes you only have the 4 counterblast to work with. That's when you have to skip the Devil Summoner. Then you would have to do the combo a little bit different. What you have to do then is like this. You have the 1 Ogel on the field, you legions, your Ogels right there, and you have your Darkbringer right there. Okay, you attack with this first, again boosted. If they let it hit, then you have an extra attack. If they do not let it hit, it goes to the bottom of the deck, which is okay. Now you attack with the Ogel at the end of the battle, goes to soul, 24, second Ogel, attack, 24, to soul, third Ogel, attack, 24, to soul. And now with the last Ogel, you have Jumbo the stun gun. Now you get him to the field. Now he does the work because you need 2 counter blasts for him. So he comes to the field, he gets you a soul charge and a counter charge, and you have nothing to lose because all the Ogles are already in your soul. So now you attack with this. There is no reason to attack with this first. You could also attack with this because you could divide triggers, and then you activate his ability by the counter blast of 2, and you could get something to the field, which could be like a huge attacker right here, like this. That could work. If they have, like, you know, they don't have a perfect guard. If you know that they have a perfect guard in their hand, then you could also do it differently. Before you attack with your Ogel, you could attack with this, put it back at the bottom of the deck, then attack with him, the counterblast 2, and then you get something like a Devil Summoner. And the Devil Summoner right now could be very effective because he could call you even more cards to the field. As long as it's a grade 1 or a grade 2, it could attack this attack, this attack, this attack. So again, you could do so many attacks with this deck, and depending on the counterblasters that you have. And that's actually it for the combo for the deck. I hope that you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Me, I'm having lots of fun. If you could look at my room, I have my dices ready and I'm doing the whole combos like crazy, but it's really a lot of fun to do. And it's really bringing back so many memories to look at my binder and to go through all of those spike for the stuff, spike for the cards. And I have like everything pretty nice organized. I could show you a little bit. So you could see how I'm going through this. Like I have the binder right here, and then you could really not see it that well. Okay, let's do it this way. You can see it better. Like you have first the cards from the everything, and then we go into the strides, and then you have like the grade 2s, and then you go into the old school cards, and then you go to the Legion, then the Limit Break, Legion and Limit Break. Now you go to the G, and then you get into the older cards. And now you could just, like, whenever you're building your deck, you could just go through all of those old cards, and you could make whatever you want. So it's really nice, and it's a lot of fun to do, and it's really bringing back a lot of memories going into all of these cards. All of my favorite cards, like the Break Ride, the Blazers, the Ogles. Yeah, it's just amazing to have to do this for you guys, and I'm so happy that you are enjoying it as well. Okay guys, thanks for watching yet again. Until next time.